Hello everyone, how have you been? Welcome to another online tutorial by Stitches by Antonia. So today we are going to be cutting a very simple gown, which is a straight gown with a clean inseam finishes. You can see by the video here, I'm trying to align my fabric together. So I divide my hip by 4 and added 1.5 inches allowance. So I end up cutting out 2 fabric because I'm trying to align the front design at the front. I'm trying to align them together. So I cut 10 inches out of the main fabric and also do the same. I did the same thing from the 2 fabric I cut out and joined them together. As you know, Ankara fabric is usually by length 45 inches. So I was trying to align the both design at the front together so that it can have a nice design at the front. So after cutting out 10 inches away from both fabric, I ended up joining them together. So I pinned them together and sewed it together. So after doing that, my length of fabric was 60. The length I'm working with is 60 inches. So after that, I went ahead to divide my hip measurement, which is by hip 38 inches by 4, 9.5 inches plus 1.5 inches allowance, which is 12 inches. So as you can see, I've cut out my front and back. So my front is on top of my back, having excess of 1.5 inches for the zipper. So after doing that, I went ahead to measure my shoulder, which is 15 divided by 2, 7.5. I also went ahead to measure my armhole, which is 9 inches. So 9 inches. From that 9 inches, I went up and then drew, giving it a straight line. So after measuring my armhole, I went ahead to divide my chest line, which is 36 inches divided by 4. That is 9 inches plus 1.5 inches, which is 10.5. So I'm trying to use my tape rule to divide it. So after doing that, I went ahead to measure my waist measurement, which is 28 inches divided by 4, 7 inches plus 1.5 inches allowance, which is 8.5. So after doing that, I went ahead to join all lines together. At the hemline, I reduced it by 1 inches. So instead of having 12 inches, I add 11 inches. So after doing that, I went ahead to measure my neckline, which is 3.5 by 4.5 inches. And I use my French curve to join the lines together. Now, if you don't have a French curve to do that, you can use your free hand. You can use your free hand to do that. And I slanted my shoulder by 1 inch. So after slanting my shoulder by 1 inch, I went ahead to find the midpoint of my shoulder, took in ½ inch inward, and joined the shoulder together. So at this point, you need to take your time. You don't need to rush. Take your time while taking out your measurements. take your time, guys. You need to take your time while doing everything in life. Step by step is a process, and you need to take it one step at a time. So take your time, don't rush, do everything in order. So I cut out my shoulder slants and also cut out my neckline. So you can see the design at the front. You can see how it lined up together. After all the old joining and joining we did, you can see the old line up, how it's lined up. You can see the design at the front. So that is what we're trying to achieve at the first place, so that those design at the front can line up together and it can have a nice look at the front. So because this fabric has a pattern, we need to follow the pattern. If assuming the fabric does not have a pattern, we will go according to how the fabric works. So you need to study your pattern, the fabric you are having. You need to study the fabric pattern before going ahead to cut it. So guys, after I've done that, I had to cut my lining. So you need to cut your lining exactly the way you cut your fabric. Whatever you do to your lining, repeat the same thing to your fabric. Whatever you do to your fabric, repeat the same thing to your lining. Both fabric work hand in hand together. So after doing that, I went ahead to reduce my lining by 1.5 inches. I went ahead to reduce my lining by 1.5 inches, so as the hem of the fabric can have a nice finishing. Reduce your lining by 1.5 inches. Now this part is optional. It all depends on you. Work exactly the way you plan. Every plan is different. So now after I've done that, what I did was I placed my fabric together. That is, place my front and back fabric together, and I started marking out my basic measurement. Now I marked out my front measurement, which is my bust measurement, my waist measurement, my hip measurement. I marked everything together and I joined them. I also joined my shoulder. So you have to mark according to whatever allowance you added. If you added 2 inches, you need to mark according to that. If you added 3 inches, you need to mark according to that. So I added 1.5 inches and I marked according to that. So after I've joined my shoulder and my bodies together, what I did was that I placed my front fabric right side facing each other. I placed it together. That is my lining and my main fabric. I had to place them together so that I can see if the joining align to each other. Now I am not perfect, I am not a robot, so I need to know if they actually align together, so I can know what I am sewing and what I am not sewing. So if eventually the fabric does not align together, I will go ahead and sew it again. But because my fabric line up together, I went ahead to join my fabric. Now I joined the back fabric together, which is 10 inches, which is 20 inches from the neckline down to where my zipper is going to stop, and from that part 21 inches from the hemline down to where my slit is going to stop. I hope you understand what I'm saying. From that hemline, I marked 21 inches because that is where my slit is going to stop, and from the neckline I marked 20 inches down. That is where my zipper is going to stop. So after doing that, I sewed both lines together, and after sewing them together I had to join the hemline, which is, remember, right side facing each other, right side has to face each other. If not, you are totally doing it wrong. So you have to make right side facing each other and sew it down. So I add my fabric right sides facing each other at the hemline, and I joined it together. So I'm sewing it now. So after joining the hemline together, the main fabric and the lining, now I had to align the slits hem together. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Please hope I'm not so fast. Please just watch the video and you can see what I'm doing. I had to align the slits hem together. I had to align them together so that it can match, so that the 1.5 inches I reduced from the lining can add up. Please just watch the video and see what I'm trying to do. I hope I'm making sense. So after aligning them together, what I did was I have to pin them. I'm not a robot and I'm not perfect, so I have to pin them together. Now if you work without pin, it's okay by you, but I work a lot with pin. It's like pin is more like my second savior when it comes to sewing, because I tend to like know what is my mistake. I tend to look at my mistake before making them. So pin is more like my savior. So after pinning them together, what I did next was that I had to measure my fabric again so as to know if I am getting the length right, and if I am not, I tend to correct them before sewing. So this is the main reason I am measuring again, so that I can correct my mistake before making them. So that is the reason why I love pinning a lot. Pinning makes me to like view my mistake before actually making them. So I don't know what works for you, but this actually works for me. It's more like a lifesaver. So after sewing them together, remember, don't forget to notch your fabric. Notching is very, very essential in sewing. It gives your fabric and your sewing a very nice and clean finishing when ironing. So after doing this together, after notching, then I had to turn it right side in. I had to turn it inside out, and align it together. I have to turn it inside out so that everything can line together. Now you can see the 1.5 inches that I cut out from the fabric and added to the main I cut out from the lining and added to the main fabric. And you can also see how the slit line is having a nice and clean finishing. So guys, this is how you can get your clean and nice finishing from your gown and other fabric on other cloth of your choice. So don't forget to insert your zip and add your desired neckline. Don't forget to insert your zip and add your desire, what neckline or any other design you desire to add. So guys, we've literally come to the end of this tutorial. It's not really a long tutorial, it's just for you to see how basically you can achieve a nice and clean finishing. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like my channel, and love love the tutorial. Love you. Ciao. Bye for now. Thank you.